This session, we're going to go over enterprise receivable accounting. So as a quick reminder, we're going to go into my enterprise. I have my enterprise up, and we're going to go pull up a contact and see how they're set up. So I'm going to pull up a gentleman named Mr. Smithy. I'm going to do a little edit and go to details. So underneath details in the contact card, if we go to accounting, we're going to see he's set up with a receivable. Let's go look at our settings. So here we have Mr. Smithy with a enterprise managed receivable. Enterprise managed receivable. We have his terms, his limit, service charge rate, and how we're going to do his statement. The location is telling the system what locations that this receivable account will be available at. So it's going to be available at all three of my locations. So once they're set, now that receivable account can be used at any of those locations. So let's go to a location and see how it works. We're going to kind of minimize this down here. Here I have location number 1. We're going to go to work orders, and we have a work order here that's completed for Mr. Smithy. So if I open this up by double clicking, on the far right side, you will immediately see underneath the contact what their limit is, running balance, and what's available. If I select Mr. Smithy and I go to details, accounting, you see it's going to let you know immediately this is an enterprise receivable account. Now, if I go to settings, I cannot override any of this. If you kind of look down here and see this account belongs to the enterprise. So that's telling whoever the service writer is they cannot override these settings. So if a limit needs to be raised or lowered, that means you have to go to the enterprise to do this. So let's post this out to an invoice and see what happens. I'm going to post. We're not going to make an appointment. We're going to hit next. And then under payment method, we're going to go to on account. Again, it's going to tell them what their limit is and what they have available. Now, sometimes at a location, you can raise this limit if you need to when you're posting, but that's only if it's a location receivable account, not an enterprise. So if I come in here and click on Mr. Smithy, again, I can try to edit him. Go to details, accounting. See, I can't change it. So again, you're in control at the enterprise. So we're going to put this on account. Click on next. And we're going to finalize this to an invoice. So at the location, what can I do with a receivable account? Let's go over to accounting. Bottom left corner, I'm going to look at my receivables. We're going to pull up Mr. Smithy here. Here is the invoice for Mr. Smithy. You'll notice across the top of the screen, most of your functions, your management functions are grayed out. So that means I'm going to be managing it at the enterprise, not at the location. Now, one of the things that I can do here is I can look at an invoice. I can print it, PDF it, email it, whatever I need to do. But I cannot manage it. I can look at a transaction. Let's say there was a payment made or something like that. So there will be times that they're going to need to be able to take a payment at a location, So if I'm at this location and I want to take a payment for Mr. Smithy, I would come over to my utilities and take a receivable quick payment. So here you're going to set the date of the payment. You're going to go find the account. So I go look for Mr. Smithy here. There's the account. Notice that's in gray, that gray background. See, that's letting you know it's an enterprise. What if I just come in here and search all accounts? See, those are all enterprise accounts. So I'll go back to Mr. Smithy. Select Mr. Smithy, hit OK. That's going to fill in the information here. It'll let you know what the balance is. And then here you can take a payment. So let's just say I want to take a $100 payment from him. Now this is just a general payment. You can type in, say, general payment or payment on account, or I want it to go to invoice such and such, whatever information you want to put here. And then how is he paying it? Let's say he wrote a check. Select OK. And then do I want to print or email him a receipt? I'm not going to do either. So what has happened is it's put the money in the cash drawer at this location underneath banking in the cash drawer here. That way they can deposit it into the bank. And it's made the payment in the receivable as a general payment. So if I want to look at this transaction, I can go up here and look at this transaction. That's really all you can do at the location. So let's get out of this location and let's go over to Enterprise and see what happens. So we'll kind of close this down. And we'll bring up the Enterprise. So when I go to Accounting in the Enterprise, again at the bottom of the screen, you're going to have Payables or Receivables. If you want to pull up all of the receivables, just use asterisk. It's like a wild card. Hit Enter on your keyboard or Search at the top left corner. That will pull up all enterprise payables. If you're looking for somebody individual, then you just type in their name and hit Enter. So when I come here, I can sort this by account number. I can sort this by name. I can sort it by limit or by balance. Sort however you wish. Whatever you click on here on the left side, it will show you what's going on the right side. So if I go to Bill's Plumbing, there's Bill's Plumbing. If I go to Bill Smith, there's Bill Smith. At the top ribbon, that search is the same thing as hitting Enter on the keyboard here. This is just a screen refresh. You can print, email, PDF. If you would like to send an individual statement, you certainly can. That's going to be here. So I just select the account I want to do, select statement, select my start and end date. I do not have to print Purge Transactions unless I want to. And then it's going to ask me I want to print it or email it. Once I hit next, then I can go ahead and do it. So whenever I do a statement here, that's just whatever individual one I have selected. That's all it is. I can add, so I can add a brand new contact back here and set up a receivable account at the same time. That would be just like going over to contacts and setting it up. I can have a bare receivable account. So what is a bare receivable? I'm only putting in a receivable and then associating other accounts to that. Associating. If you have not watched the setup tour on receivables, you may want to go watch that. This goes into a lot of detail on how to set all these up. You can edit an existing account. Well, I might need to change a term. I might need to change a limit or a service charge or how I'm going to do the statements. I can also turn off locations if I want. If I say, well, I don't want them being used at a specific location, I can go in here to Action, highlight it, and delete it. So you can add and delete back here, just like when you're setting it up in the contacts. And it works the same way with association. So if I want to associate multiple contacts to a single receivable account, I can do that here also. I can delete a receivable account. Now again, the system will ask you to type in yes to make sure, yes, I want to delete it. And then when I click on OK, it will stop me if there's a balance on it. Won't let you delete it. So it has to be a zero balance in order to delete. So let's go over to Johnny Smithy here. From this point over, these are your management tools for your receivables. You're always going to have a find. Remember, binoculars is a find. It's a search of some sort. This is going to allow you to search any of these column headers. So you can open this up, look for anything you want. Hey, I'm looking for document number 22. Where is it? I hit Find All, click it, and it'll highlight it in the background for me. That's what that is. I want to look at a transaction. I can do that. So as I make payments, things like that, I can come in here and see the actual transactions. See, there's the payment on account on that date. I'll actually come back to this some more once we apply some stuff. You can edit. Now, pretty limited on what you can edit here. So here we have this payment on account. Let's go see what we can edit. One thing we can edit here is a description. That's it. On an invoice, let's see what we can edit. We can edit a due date. So if I need to extend out the due date, I certainly can. And I can edit the description. We will come back to Reconcile. Now, if you want to take a payment at the enterprise, you certainly can. You just click on Make a Payment. Select your payment date. What is your payment method? How are they paying you? Say he calls me with a credit card and wants to make a payment. Now you can pre-select, what they're paying if you wish. It'll give you a total over here on the right. You can always override this if you want. If you don't want to select something, you just come in here and enter your payment details, how much they're paying. Select OK. You can leave it unapplied and go apply it later, or automatically have it go to the oldest outstanding. So you can oldest outstanding, leave unapplied and apply it later, or you can choose what you want to apply it to here. You also have the capability of doing a contra entry. So what a contra does is it moves a receivable to a payable. Sometimes people barter back and forth, or maybe you have a payable account, say such as tires, that you're buying tires from a supplier. They also do receivables, so you can apply those receivables to your tire bill, for example. So I can take any of these. I select the date I want to do this. What payable account do I want it to go to? So I can search my payables here. Maybe I have a vendor here. It's a tire vendor. Select it. And then when I hit OK, it moves it out. See, now my balance here is at 0 on that contra. And if I go over to the payable and I go look at NTD, there's the contra payment. So you can always move money back and forth between a receivable and a payable. Let's refresh this. I can apply a credit. So here, for example, these were some payments that were made. That was a credit balance, payment on account, payment on account. Now I want to go apply this. I just simply highlight it, apply credit, select what day I want to apply it. You can pick whatever day you want. Let's just say we're going to apply it last Friday. Nothing there, right? So I got to get to the point where we have some invoices here. So let's say I apply it to this specific invoice. Hit save. Now I've consumed that credit and applied it. So what is this transaction? Let's go look again. See, now I see a little bit more information. Here was the balance credit. Here's where it was applied to, invoice 10. You can do adjustments here. Now, whenever you're doing an adjustment, it's going to prompt you here to pick what location you want this adjustment to go to. What location? So if you think about it, here we have invoices from 3 different locations. So if I had an issue with one of them, for example, maybe I need to go do an adjustment on this one, then I would say, well, let's go training number 2. What day do I want to do the adjustment? What adjustment account? So this is going to be the accounts in training number 2, location 2. Maybe, I don't know, some kind of promotion or something, or some kind of expense. Who knows? Maybe we had I don't know, some license or dues due or something like that. Make my adjustment. Hit tab on the keyboard. Now, if you have to do a tax adjustment or something, you can always do a tax here also. Make my adjustment. There we go. Service charges. If I wish to apply service charges, I can click. Select the date, the end date. So I can pick an end date here. Let's just say as of the end of August. You can give it a grace period if you wish. It'll automatically let you know how much is overdue, what percentage are you charging, and it'll calculate it for you. Now you can also manually do a service charge. If I want to just say charge a $25 late fee, I can do that. Once I apply it, put it in, and then if I want to edit this, I can edit this and say late fee. Now, if I do a fee and I don't want it after all, I can delete it. Now, what about this adjustment? What if I want to get rid of this adjustment? You see, I can't delete it. Now, the reason why that is because we're in the enterprise, but the transaction actually occurred at a location. So I can't just delete it. I would have to just do a reversing entry. So I'd have the initial entry and a second entry. You can purge anything that's paid in full. This is just a manual purge. You just set your end date. Let's just say the end of August. Hit continue. It does the purge. You can undo a purge. I just type in yes and it reverses it and puts it back. So here I have a bill for $1,000, this invoice for $1,105.04. Sometimes you're going to have customers where you want to split up the payments. In other words, he has a large bill here, might want to pay it out over 60 days, 90 days, whatever you choose. So all you do is simply highlight it, come up here to split payment terms, and then you can split this as many different ways as you want. 60 days, 90, 120, 12 months, 2 years, whatever you want to do. So you just put in the amount, hit tab on your keyboard, and then you can even set your due dates for each payment. So let's say we're going to do $350 again. That leaves a balance of $405. But on this payment here, I might want to have that due a little bit earlier, maybe on the 7th, something like that. So I select OK, and then it's going to split it up. So here was my original. There's a split and a split. Now, if I do split up these payments here and I change my mind, I can select the split and delete it. So if I get rid of this last one, I'm going to delete it. It takes that amount and puts it back to the original invoice. And if I want to get rid of the second one, I can delete it also. So now I'm back to the original invoice. Reconciling. You're going to notice these columns that are in here anytime you're working in receivables or payables. Doesn't matter. You can rearrange these columns just by clicking and dragging. So this is your clear or your check column. If I want to sort, I can sort by clicking on any column. See, due dates, posted date, whatever I want. You can even sort by location if you want to. So this was entries at the enterprise, entries from number 1, location 1, entries from location 2, and an entry from location 3 at the bottom. So let's go do this by posted date. So typically, you would come in and go ahead and clear here. Now, since I did undo a purge, let's go purge this back real quick, and let's be a little bit more realistic. So we're going to purge this as of the end of August. There we go. So now I want to reconcile this. I can select it here, pre-select here if I wish. Okay. I can also just simply click on reconcile. Tell the system what day are they paying. So what if he's paying me tomorrow? I can do that. And then I can finish checking here if I wish. I can also do a match by date. So I can do it by due date or by posting date, either way. And I can select whichever date I want to do. Hit OK. So I have everything selected that I'm going to reconcile. Bottom right is going to be your total. I select next. The system is set up to automatically purge. So whenever I reconcile, it will automatically purge everything paid in full. Here's my payment amount. There's my payment date. How is he paying? So maybe he wrote me a check and it's dated for tomorrow. Select OK. Do I want to print or email? Print or email. So here's my payment. If I go over to transaction again, see it shows everything that was paid. And then I can go down to my action button. I can even print a receipt or email from here too. Now what happens over time is as you're purging everything and keeping it cleaned up, you may need to go back and look at something. Might need to go back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Doesn't matter. Down at the bottom here, you're going to see a little feature called Show Purge Transactions. You check the box. It'll pull up a date range box here, and then you can tell the system how far back you want to go. You can go back as far as you want. You can always go back to even day one of using the system. Doesn't matter. Let's say I'm going to go back 6 months. Hit OK. So everything that we see in gray are items that have been purged. So if I need to go look at something, I can go look at something. I can say, well, hey, what's the transaction here? There's the payment, went on that invoice. Once you're finished here, all you have to do is go down to the bottom and uncheck the box. There is a utility tab back here, just next to receivable. Here is where you can apply service charges before you do your statement run. So if I want to do a statement run for all my accounts, I might go through and apply service charges first. So let's say we're going to do a statement run of everybody through the end of August. I can even skip customers that already have a service charge, or I can keep putting it on. Hit start, it'll go through and apply the service charges to anybody that is set up with a service charge rate. Once I'm finished, then I can prepare statements. So I have my start date, my end date. You can always change these dates to anything you want. Accounting term, all is a default. Now, if you're in a situation where you have a tremendous amount of receivables, you may want to run some of the receivables at the middle of the month and some of the receivables at the end of the month. That's perfectly fine. So what you want to do is you want to set the term for those receivables separate. So I can run it by term this way. If I'm going to do all of them at once, I certainly can. I can even include the zero balances if I want to. I don't necessarily have to if I don't want to. And I don't want to show purge transactions. So I'm going to hit find. So here are all the accounts, including anybody that has a credit. Okay. You'll notice almost all of these are set up to print. Now, why is that? Because, look, we don't have any emails here. Now, this one, you'll notice is unchecked, along with Bill's Plumbing. That means when that receivable account was set up, we failed to set up how we're going to do the statements in the contact card. So might want to go back to the contact card and set it. If I have emails in here, there will be an email box you can select. So once I have it ready on what I do want to send or print, I select next, and then I hit start. Now, if you need to change, the printer, you can always do that up here or a tray. Once you hit start, it starts printing the statements. Once it finishes printing, then it will email statements. There is also back here a batch purge. So batch purge just simply means it's going to go through all the accounts and purge all the zeros. So if I batch purge it, let's say through the end of August, and I click continue and start, then it will go through and purge. And you can undo. You can reverse purge. So that's receivable management of an enterprise receivable. Again, don't forget, if you're going to set up an enterprise receivable, it's going to be managed enterprise. And let's just go back to a contact real quick as a quick reminder. Mr. Smithy again. Details, accounting, receivable account settings, managed at the enterprise. If I'm managing at a location, I'm just going to do those same functions, but at the location. Terms, you can always change your terms. Limit, service charge rate, how do I want to do the statement? Locations, where is it going to be available at to use this charge account? And associated contacts. So if I want to add more contacts to this person's account, I certainly can. I can add. Okay, receivables at enterprise.